All right, pre-algebra. We got solving absolute value equations. Example 2. I got 4 more problems here, and we're going to solve all of these. So our first one says the absolute value of x, and then minus 7, which is not inside the absolute value symbol, equals 4. And you compare it to the second problem, you see the x minus 7 is inside the absolute value. And you'll see as we solve both of these, it changes your answer, how you do it. So in our first one, the absolute value of x minus 7 equals 4. So what we got to do to solve an equation like this, you cannot split an absolute value equation into 2 different equations until you have absolute value equals. So this minus 7, we need to cancel it out. We're going to do that by adding 7. And now I have absolute value of x equals 4 plus 7, which is 11. And now I can solve this because I have absolute value equals 11. And now I just split it into 2 equations. So x equals 11, or x equals going to equal negative 11. And I've got my answer. And that is the first one. So x equals 11 or x equals negative 11. So when I look at the second equation, I think, oh, that might be the same thing. But it's not. Because this one, I've got absolute value equals a number. Now I split it right away because there's nothing outside the absolute value symbol that I got to cancel out. So this is going to be x minus 7 equals 4, or x minus 7 equals negative 4. You split it into 2 separate equations, one where it equals the positive and one where it equals the negative. So to solve, I add 7. So x is going to equal 11. Or I add 7 here. Negative 4 plus 7 is 3, or x equals 3. And I've got my answer to my second equation here. And if I were to check these, 11 minus 7 is 4. Absolute value of 4 is 4. 3 minus 7 is negative 4. The absolute value of negative 4, also 4. So we're good. So let's look at our next one here. Absolute value of 6x, that's inside the absolute value symbol, plus 3 equals 21. I can't solve this until I get rid of this plus 3. I need it to be absolute value equals. So I'm going to subtract 3. So now the absolute value of 6x equals 18. And now I can solve this. I can split it into 2 equations. So I'm going to do 6x equals 18. So I just take what's in the absolute value symbol and make it equal 18. Or same thing, but it equals negative. So equals negative 18. And I solve both of these, just divide by 6. So I get x equals 3. Over here, divide by 6. I get x equals negative 3. So my answer is x equals 3 or x equals negative 3. And if I were to check it, 6 times 3 is 18. Absolute value of 18 is 18. Plus 3 is 21. If I were to try negative 3, 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. The absolute value of negative 18 is 18. Plus 3, 21. So it works. All right, let's check our last one. So this is negative 3 outside the absolute value, 2x minus 5 inside, and that equals negative 15. So first thing is, you might look at this and say, hey, it equals a negative number. It's no solution. You can't make that decision right away. You can't make that decision until you have absolute value equals, which we don't because we have this negative 3 outside of the absolute value. Now, you might look at this and say, ooh, I'm going to do the distributive property and multiply negative 3 times each thing. You can't do that with absolute value. It's not allowed. You can't multiply into the absolute value. So what we have to do is we have to get rid of this negative 3. We know it's negative 3 times the absolute value of 2x minus 5. So I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to divide by negative 3. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 3. So those cancel out, and now I just have the absolute value of 2x minus 5 equals negative 15 divided by 3 is positive 5. You can see now I've got absolute value equals a positive number. So this is not a no solution. This can be solved. So now, since I have absolute value equals, I can split it into 2 equations. I'm actually going to kind of come over here because I'm running out of room. So I can split it into 2x minus 5 equals 5, or 2x minus 5 equals negative 5. So I can split it into both of those equations. Now this is a 2-step I got to solve. So I got to add 5. So 2x equals 10. Divide by 2, and I get x equals 5. Over here, add 5. 2x equals negative 5 plus 5 is 0. Divide by 2, we get 0. So I got x equals 5 or x equals 0. And if I were to check these, if I were to try 5 here, 2 times 5 is 10, minus 5 is 5. Absolute value of 5 is 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. If I were to try 0, 2 times 0 is 0, minus 5 is negative 5. Absolute value of negative 5 is positive 5 times negative 3, negative 15. So both of those work. All right, that is example 2. I got 4 more. So now you've got some practice problems. Do those, check them over with the key, and do the quiz. Thank you.